The first question is, what is the difference between Informatica PowerCenter and Informatica Cloud? So the answer is Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, nothing but IICS, is a cloud-based integration platform, which is nothing but iPaaS. IICS helps you to integrate, synchronize all data and applications residing on your on-premise and cloud environments. But when it's coming to Power Center, it only supports on-premise environment applications. IICS provides similar functionality as Power Center but in a better way, and you can access via the internet. Hence, in IICS, there is no need to install any client applications on your personal computer or server. All the supported applications can be accessed from the browser, and tasks can be developed through browser UI. If you buy the license, then Informatica gives you the credentials. So using that credentials, you can directly go to the Informatica URL, and you can log in through browser and you can develop your code. But in Power Center, the client applications needs to be installed on your server. In IICS, we can request the features based on our usage. Like if you use only SQL Server as your source and target, you can get the license to create these connections only, not for all. Or if you need like a file watcher job, then you can procure only the file watcher license. Like this, based on your usage, like your requirement, you are going to procure the license for the particular features. But in Power Center, you need to procure the license based on the edition, irrespective of whether you use a certain feature or not. The second question is, where does the metadata get stored in Informatica Cloud? So all the metadata gets stored in Informatica Cloud repository in IICS. Unlike Power Center, all the information in Informatica Cloud is stored on the server maintained by the Informatica, and the user does not have an access to the repository database. Hence, it is not possible to use any SQL query on metadata tables to retrieve the information like Informatica Power Center. For example, suppose I have one connection, I want to replace that connection with other connection, like my database is going to change. So at the time, normally in Power Center, we can write one query to get the information like that connection, where we have used, in which mappings we have used, which sessions we have used. But here, like in IICS, we cannot do like that, because everything like it is going to stored in Informatica repository, and that repository is going to maintained by Informatica. So normally user does not have an access to Informatica repository in IICS. So the various metadata information that gets stored in IICS repository includes like source and target metadata, and connection information, and mappings, schedules, and logging and monitoring information. Everything like it is stored, it is going to stored in IICS repository. And the third question is, what is the difference between a union transformation in Informatica Cloud and in Informatica Power Center? Like in Informatica Power Center and also earlier versions of Informatica Cloud, the union transformation allows only two groups to define in it. Hence, if three different source groups needs to be mapped to the target, then the user must first create a union for two groups first, and then whatever the outcome is coming from that first union, we are going to union with the group with another union two. So we need two unions if we have three groups of data to unite. And in latest version, Informatica Cloud, it is supporting multiple groups, so all the input groups can be handled in a single union transformation. And the fourth question is, explain dynamic linking. So Informatica Cloud enables us to establish a target file at runtime. We can use this feature only in mappings. In target, we can select the create new at runtime option. So we can choose a static file name that can be displaced with with a new file whenever the mapping operates with the same name. We can also create a dynamic file name such that whenever the mapping runs, we can create a file with the new name. And the fifth question is what system variables are available in IICS to perform incremental loading? So normally, if you want to perform the incremental loading in PowerCenter, you need to calculate the runtime, like a last successful run, or you need to calculate manually, like what is the last run date and everything. So here like it is going to provide two system variables, that is like the last run time and the last run date. So it returns the last time when the task runs successfully, and the last run date returns only the last date on which the task runs successfully. So these values are stored in Informatica Cloud Server and or Cloud Repository, and it is not possible to override the values of these parameters. These parameters only stores the date time value in UTC time zone. And the sixth question is how to pass data from one mapping to other in Informatica Cloud Integration. So the data can be passed from one mapping to other mapping Informatica Cloud through a task flow using parameters. So the first mapping task which passes the data should have an inout parameter defined using set variable functions. So this normally we can use this set variable function in expression level to assign the value to the parameter, and then in second mapping task which receives the data should either have an input parameter or inout parameter defined in mapping to read the data passed from upstream task.
The first question is explain about Informatica Cloud Runtime Environment. Informatica Cloud Runtime Environment is the execution platform that runs Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services assets such as tasks and task flows. You must have at least one runtime environment in each organization so that users in the organization can run tasks. A runtime environment consists of one or more secure agents. Basically, it is the server upon which your data gets staged while processing. You can choose either to process via the Informatica servers or your local servers, which stays behind your firewall. Informatica supports following runtime environments. Those are Informatica Cloud Hosted Agent, Serverless Runtime Environment, and Informatica Cloud Secure Agent. The second question is what is the Informatica Cloud Secure Agent? Informatica Cloud Secure Agent is a lightweight, self-upgrading program that you need to install in your server and register it with Informatica Cloud Repository using the unique registration code provided for your organization account. It runs all tasks and enables secure communication across the firewall between your organization and Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. The third question is what is a synchronization task? Synchronization task automates the data synchronization process between a source and target. Synchronization helps in maintaining same data between different systems and enables accuracy. A synchronization task can be built easily from the IICS UI by selecting the source and target without use of any transformations like in mappings. You can also use expressions to transform the data according to your business logic, or use data filters to filter data before writing it to the targets, and use lookup data from other objects and fetch a value. So in synchronization task, you can use expressions, data filters and lookups. Anyone without PowerCenter mapping or transformation knowledge can easily build synchronization tasks as UI guides you step by step. The next question is, what is a replication task? A replication task allows you to replicate data from a database table or selected sources to a desired destination. By using data replication, you can backup or warehouse data and copy data sets. You can choose to replicate all the source rows or rows that changes since the last runtime of task using built-in incremental processing mechanism of replication task. You can choose from 3 different type of operations when you replicate data to a target. Those are incremental load after initial full load, incremental load after initial partial load, full load each run. The next question is, what is the difference between a synchronization task and replication task? In a synchronization task, you can transform the data before loading it into the target. In a replication task, you can replicate the data from source to target without transforming the data. A replication task can replicate an entire schema and all the tables in it at a time, which is not possible in synchronization task. A replication task comes with a built-in incremental processing mechanism. In synchronization task, user needs to handle the incremental data processing. The next question is, what is the primary purpose of Informatica Cloud? The primary purpose of Informatica Cloud is to resolve the data integration problem that takes place when we have to move the data from legacy architecture to the cloud-based architecture. Through the Informatica Cloud, we can resolve the issue of handling fragmented data inside and outside the firewall. What is the mapping configuration task or mapping task in IICS? A mapping configuration task or mapping task in IICS is equivalent to the session in the Informatica PowerCenter. Normally, both are same. Mapping configuration task or mapping task, both are same. Just some people will call it as mapping configuration task. The shortcut is MCT, or mapping task. The shortcut is MT. When you create a mapping task, you must select a mapping to use in the task. Mapping task allows you to process data based on a data flow logic defined in a mapping. Optionally, you can also configure parameters that are associated with the mapping, and also pre and post processing commands, and also advanced session properties to boost the performance, and also you can configure the task to run on schedule. So we can do scheduling for mapping configuration task. Explain task flow in IICS. Task flow is similar to the workflow in Informatica PowerCenter. Task flow regulates the execution order of the mapping configuration task or the synchronization task according to the previous task output. To create a task flow, you must first create the task and then add them to a task flow. The task flow allows you to run the task sequentially or parallelly, and also to make the decision
based on the outcome from one task before triggering the next task. What is the difference between a task flow and linear task flow in IICS? A linear task flow is a simplified version of the data integration task flow, and it groups the multiple data integration tasks and runs them serially in the specified order. If a task defined in a linear task flow gets failed, you need to restart the entire task flow. There is no option to restart the job from failed task. But in task flow, we have that option. It just allows you to run the tasks parallelly, and also it is having some advanced decision making capabilities that allows you to either restart from failed task or skip it when a task fails. The next question is how the Informatica server stores the string values in rank transformation. This is very important interview question for IICS, Infosys, and also I got this question in Informatica. When I attended interview for these organizations, I got this question. So before going to explain answer for this question, I just want to explain what is the rank transformation. So what it will do. So the rank transformation is one of the transformation available in Informatica. I have seen this in this transformation both in IICS and PowerCenter. It just works like a rank function in the SQL. It just same like that. It just give the ranking on particular field which you have selected in the rank transformation. So and also it just returns either top or bottom values for that particular field on which you are going to sort and give the ranking. It just creates one more port, rank port for giving the ranking like 1, 2, 3. So we can use that rank port for next transformation for making some logic. If this if this requirement we have, like if you wanna sort the string fields like string values, then that time how Informatica sorts the data. So data integration uses the session sort order configured for the mapping task. So what is the property we have used? What is the value we have given for session sort order property which is existed in the advanced session properties of the mapping task? Based on that, it just sorts the string values. It may be binary or some specific language like Danish or Spanish. If you have some specific requirement like you wanna do sorting on particular language, then you have to change that property. I'll show that where you have to exactly change that property in the next slide. As shown in the screenshot, you have to open the mapping task. There in the schedules, you will see in the top, bottom, you will see advanced session properties. Right here, we have add button. So click on add button. Just it will show the session property list. You have to select their session sort order. This is the option, and select value as session property value as binary, or whatever the specific language you want, Spanish, Dutch, and all. So based on this selection, in rank transformation, the string values, string fields, it will sort. The next question is, can we run PowerCenter jobs in Informatica Cloud? This is a very important Informatica question. When the client is having requirement like they are migrating PowerCenter jobs to the Informatica Cloud, that time mostly this question they will ask. The answer is yes. There is a PowerCenter task available in the Informatica Cloud where user have to upload the XML file exported from the PowerCenter and run the job as a PowerCenter task. You can update an existing PowerCenter task to use a different PowerCenter XML file but cannot make the changes to the imported XML. When you upload a new PowerCenter XML file to an existing PowerCenter task, the PowerCenter task deletes the old XML file and updates the PowerCenter task definition based on the new XML file content. Explain what is pushdown optimization in Informatica Cloud. Basically, this pushdown optimization is one of the performance tuning technique in IICS which helps us to execute the SQL statements at database level. The idea behind of this pushdown optimization technique is processing the data on database level because processing the data on database level is much faster and efficient compared to the processing the data in Informatica. So the number of interactions between the Informatica and database is going to decrease if we execute or processing the data on database level. So internally, if you check this pushdown optimization option at mapping task level, Informatica is going to create internally the SQL statement for transformation logic, how much it can convert, that much transformation logic is going to keep in SQL statement and pushed towards either source database or target database or both. So the amount of data transformation logic that can be pushed to the database depends on the database type, transformation logic, and mapping task configuration. Whatever left, the transformation logic after creating the SQL statements, whatever the transformation logic, it is not gonna push towards the database. That transformation logic, it's gonna, Informatica is going to process at Informatica level. The next question is explain partitioning in Informatica Cloud Data Integration. First of all, you have to know what is partitioning. Partitioning is nothing but enabling the parallel processing of the data through separate pipelines. This is one of the important interview question because interviewer asks like how you can do performance tuning in Informatica Cloud. What are the techniques we have? So this is one of the technique. And in Informatica Cloud, we have only two types of partitioning methods. But in Informatica PowerCenter, we have multiple number of partitioning methods. So be carefully understand what are the partitioning methods here in IICS. With the partitioning enabled, you can select the number of partitions for the mapping. Then DTM process creates a reader thread, transformation thread, and writer thread for each partition. Allow the data to be processed concurrently so that we can reduce the execution time of the task. And there are two major partitioning methods supported in IICS. One is key range partitioning. How it will works means it distributes the data into multiple partitions based on the partition key which we have selected and the range of the values defined for it. So what you have to do once you selected the key range partitioning, you have to give the partitioning key and also the start and end ranges of the values for that. so that based on that it will segregate the data load. How it will loads means by partitioning the key, it just segregate the data to threads and it will execute. And next one is fixed partitioning. Here we can enable for sources which are not relational. So when we use means if the source is not relational, that time we are going to use this fixed partitioning, and you have to select number of partitions by passing a value after selecting the fixed partitioning in the drop down, and default value will be none. If you are not selecting any number of partitions, then the default value will be none. The next question is how to invoke Informatica Cloud tasks based on a file event. To trigger tasks based on a file event, Informatica Cloud provides a component called File Listener. A file listener listens to the files on a defined location. Suppose I have one requirement like there is a folder. In that folder, if any new file has created or updated or deleted, then my task has to trigger. If there is nothing happen, there is no file event occurs, then it should not run. If only any file event occurs, follows to trigger that task. For this requirement, I'm gonna create one file listener with a specific folder and a file pattern. File pattern means the file name pattern we have to mention in that file listener, and the specific folder means the monitoring folder, like in which folder we are looking that file has to come or updated or deleted. That folder we have to mention in that file listener. Then if any file event occurs like new file has arrived or any update or delete has happened to that particular file pattern of a file, then it's gonna notify back so that my task is going to trigger if any event has occurred. The next question is include all incoming fields from an upstream transformation except fields with dates. What should you do? This is very basic IICS question. So to configure like this, first of all, we have to configure two field rules in a transformation. First one, use all field rule to include all fields coming from upstream transformation, and then create a fields by data types rule to exclude fields by data type, and there you have to select date and time as the data type to exclude from incoming fields. You understood, right? First one, you have to create one include fields with a rule all fields, and the next one you have to create a exclude fields with fields by data types rule, so that there you have to give what data type you wanna exclude. So date and time, the fields which are coming with date and time data type, those fields it's gonna exclude from coming incoming fields. The next question is what is the difference between the connected and unconnected sequence generated transformation in IICS? Sequence generator can be used in two different ways in Informatica Cloud. One with incoming fields disabled and other with incoming fields not disabled. The difference between the sequence generator with incoming fields enabled and disabled is when next val field is mapped to the multiple transformations. Suppose the sequence generator with incoming fields not disabled, then it generates the same sequence of numbers for each downstream transformation. And if a sequence generator with incoming fields disabled, will generate unique sequence numbers for each downstream transformation. You understood, right? The next question is, what is Informatica Cloud Debugger? Informatica Cloud Debugger helps you preview data at any point in a mapping for troubleshooting the errors in data integration mappings. So this is one of the troubleshooting technique in Informatica Cloud. To run the Informatica Cloud Debugger, mapping should be valid up to the selected transformation. Consider a scenario. Suppose I have I built a mapping, but the output of the mapping is not as I expected. So I wanna check my transformation logic where the data is not processing correctly. Actually, the output or some the mapping is running, but my logic is somewhere it's incorrect. I'm unable to find out by seeing that mapping logic. I wanna check data preview so that I can understand where my transformation logic is incorrect. So for that, I'm not going to create any temporary target to view how the data transformed at any particular transformation in a mapping. I'm going to use this Informatica debugger so that you can identify or you can preview data at any point in the mapping instead of creating the temporary target. What is data masking? The data masking mechanism enables you to stop exposing sensitive data to non-production environments. Using data masking rules, you can define the logic to mask or replace selected columns with duplicate values. I will tell one simple realistic example. In real time, suppose if we have some personally identifiable information, which means PII information like email address, phone number, bank account number, or government issued ID number, social security number, this type of PII information if we have in our data, and that real data we need to test in QA or in dev environment, that time we cannot showcase that personal data of customer or user to the unauthorized people. So we have to mask this type of data in lower environments. That time we use this data masking technique to mask those type of information columns in lower environments. The next one is explain discovery IQ. Discovery IQ is one of the module in IICS like data integration, application integration, and administrator or monitor. Likewise, there is another module, Discovery IQ, as shown in the diagram. And this Discovery IQ gives you a complete overview of the number of processes and jobs in your organization. Using this Discovery IQ, you can even get to know more about KPIs like data volumes, successful and failed jobs, etc. You can also perform log analysis by directly downloading from Discovery IQ. What is data assessment? The data assessment task in IICS streamlines the process to assess data quality. It also enables you to check things like file completeness, record duplication, field conformances, address validity, etc. You can configure filters on data to get the data that meets requirements. The next question is, how does IICS handle large data volumes? IICS handles large data volumes using the techniques of partitioning, pushdown optimization, and high-speed connectors. Partitioning is the mechanism IICS provides for dividing the data into smaller, more manageable chunks or partitions and process each partition separately. So, the idea behind partitioning is, if we have bulk load, so we are going to create partitions so that that data is going to segregate into different chunks, and these partitions IAC is going to run parallelly. So it is going to divide the data and separately parallelly it's gonna run that data by creating the separate pipelines. And by using this partitioning, we can increase the performance and we can load the data quickly. The detailed description of partitioning, like types of partitioning and all, I explained in the previous video. I'm going to give that link in this video description. Just go through that. And also, I have covered pushdown optimization in that same video. So just go to that video and understand what is partitioning and pushdown optimization. I'll give a smaller line for pushdown optimization. Basically, this is the concept of executing the transformation logic in database level. So for transformation logic, IICS is going to create an SQL statement to execute that either in source side database or target side database, or both. So how much logic, transformation logic IICS can keep in SQL statement, that much it can write into SQL, and these SQL statements are going to execute on database so that we can reduce the number of interactions between Informatica and you know database, so that the performance is going to increase, the efficiency also going to increase. And the third one is high speed connector. IICS offers high speed connectors for various data sources, enabling faster data transfer. The next question is, in which scenario you have used synchronization task? This is one of the important IICS interview real-time question, because if interviewer wants to know you are really worked on IICS in previous organization, if you kept something like I worked on synchronization task in your resume, then these type of questions he will shoot. So you have to know the answer for this question. Normally, most of the projects we use the synchronization task to load the data from source to stage tables. If you know the answer, if you really worked on synchronization task in previous projects. Then tell your answer where you used in your project. If you don't know, then give these answer to interviewer. How can you schedule the mapping? IICS provides scheduler also. So by using Informatica IICS scheduler, you can schedule the mapping task. If a workflow got failed in prod environment, can we do the code change for that fail mapping in production environment or in dev environment? Mention the step-by-step approach. Basically, this is the question interviewer asks when they are taking you for Informatica support. That time, these type of questions he will shoot to know basic things you know or not. So if workflow got failed in the prod environment, first we have to check the reason for failure. If suppose any code change is required, then only we can mitigate that failure. Then we have to do that change in dev environment. And again we have to do unit testing and then deploy the code to test and then move to prod. We should never develop or change the mapping in test or prod environment. The next question is, have you parameterized in IICS? This is also a real-time question. If you worked on IICS, if you parameterized in previous projects, then you tell your answer. Otherwise, if you don't know, then tell like, yes, I have used, and I've created two types of parameters. One is input parameters and another one is in-out parameters. These input parameters I have used to parameterize the source, target, lookup connections, and the in-out parameter I have used to create the mapping variables and mapping parameters. Basically, this in-out parameter I have used for incremental loading purpose. Tell answer like this.